Hi everybody, this is Oksana. I want to start out by saying a huge thank you to Rio Grande by sponsoring this video. I'm using their wonderful wire, their copper wire for this video, as well as the tools that they sell that I'll show you. So before I show you how I made this pendant, I just want to explain kind of the point of it because it looks pretty simple and plain. It looks like a lot of my other pendants as well. So what makes it special and what it has that I want to teach you through this video is, first of all, it's a teardrop shaped stone that's pointing upwards with the point here, which I don't do a lot. I like to position my teardrops point down because that gives you a nice little gap at the top to tuck all your wires away into. So I want to show you what to do when you don't have the gap up there to tuck your wires away into. You might run into that if you're positioning a teardrop this way, or if you have any other stone like a marquee shape or anything that has a point at the top. And then what I want to show you is how to finish off the wires. So these wires that you see coming across, one thing that you can do is bring them, all the way around and then make little swirls on the front. But if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to cover up the stone, like this is a pretty cool looking stone. It looks almost like a little scene with a little tree. And so I don't want to have swirls here, potentially covering up this little tree. I want to hide all my wires in the back, as you saw here. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So those are kind of the things that I'm teaching in this video that might come in handy if you ever have a stone that you want to position with the point at the top and you want to kind of keep it open and have the majority of the stone be visible. So now that I've explained that, let's go ahead and get started making this pendant. We're going to be using two types of wire. First is 20 gauge square, and then is 24 gauge half round. And these are both dead soft copper wires. They are from riogrande.com. So you're going to need 3 of the 20 gauge wires, and mine measure to be 9 inches long, and my stone is a little bit over an inch. I would say, let me measure it more closely in millimeters, probably like 29 millimeters or 28 millimeters, a little bit over an inch. Here's what it looks like. It is Mookite and it is a teardrop shape. For your tools, you're going to need some wire cutters, some regular pliers, and some round nose pliers. My wire cutters are from Swanstrom brand, which is sold by Rio Grande, and these are the Lindstrom brand, which is sold by Rio Grande as well. The regular pliers are RX 7890, and the round nose pliers are RX 7590. So we're just going to take our half round wire here. It's attached to the spool. I'm just grabbing the end of it. And I am just eyeballing the middle of these 3 wires here and just kind of grabbing them roughly in the middle. Then I'm taking this half round wire, the little end of it, and I'm going to be positioning it the flat side down and the half rounded side up, like this. So first I'm just going to grab a little end and I'm going to wrap it around a few times to get it started. And then once you're done with that, to wrap the other end that's still connected to the spool, you can't just do that. It gets twisted, so you have to guide it with one hand and then turn those 3 wires, and you can see it's just laying next to the other wires because you're just guiding it. So you just want to do that for a little bit. The point of this is just to connect and hold these 3 wires together. So you don't have to do it for very long. I think this is definitely adequate. And when you're done, all you do is just trim these little ends. You just want to make sure you trim them on the same side. So this will be my side with the wire ends. And now you just want to press down on the wire ends, but also just on this whole little wrap here like this. And then you can make sure that it's nicely together as well. There aren't any gaps between your wires. All right, so now we're gonna take our stone, and this is gonna be the wire frame that we bend around the stone. So the wire ends, we want those to be up against the stone because that way they'll be hidden, they won't be exposed. So we can start by giving this a little curve. All right, with the wire ends facing this way so that they're touching the stone. So the curve kind of fits the bottom of our stone. I know I'm holding it upside down, but this is going to be the bottom. And what you want to do now is position your stone so that little wrap is centered on the bottom of it. It's right in the middle of the bottom portion. And now we are going to bend the wire frame all the way around your stone. So then you can see here's a little wrap on the bottom here. If you're having a hard time getting that little wrap to be nice and centered on the bottom, maybe it looks a little lopsided, a little more to the left or to the right, you can actually unravel a few little wraps and just, unravel and trim to make it, like shorter on one end to try and kind of adjust it. Or you can try to push it. Sometimes you can get it to move as well. So what you want to do at the top here is this wire frame is going to come together, but you want to leave a tiny little gap. The gap needs to fit about 2 of these wires. So just kind of keep that in mind as you are bending this frame. So I'm just bending side to side like this, and you can see that tiny little gap there. It's nice and small. If you make the gap too big, then the stone might be kind of wobbly in here, but it's just nice and small, and we are going to put wires through it as well. So now we're going to take that half round wire again, and we are going to wrap it around all 6 of these wires. We have 3 wires from one side, 3 from the other side. Just make sure they're kind of nicely stacked together before you wrap around them. So these 3 are kind of on top of these 3. And then you just wrap around to hold them in place a few times. And then you can take that little wire end here and just tuck it through from back to front. And we're just going to put it through the frame itself like this and just pull on it a little bit. We'll trim it off later. So I'm just pressing on this little wrap, pushing it down a little bit so it's nice and together and tight. So here's what that looks like. And now we're going to make our bail by taking these 2 frontmost wires and bending them forward like this. And now we're going to continue with this wire by wrapping it around the 2 bail wires like this. So just only the bail wires, and I'm guiding the wire and turning the piece like this. So I'm just going to keep going until it's about 3/4 of an inch. So I'll just do that quickly off camera. Then we're just going to trim it, and the wire end is going to be here on this side. So this will be the front, and it won't have the wire end on it. Now we're going to take this wire and just trim that off completely. And with our pliers, we are going to press down on that wire end and then just press down on that whole bail. Just like that. All right, so now we're gonna do something before locking the stone in. I do want to finish off the bail. So these next two wires, I'm gonna put one on each side, kind of separate them like that. And then these two wires, I'm gonna get rid of them. But because after I get rid of them, if I bend my back wires, how I normally bend to trap my stone in from the back, what's gonna happen is the wires that I kind of trimmed away can kind of move a little bit. So before trimming them, I'm gonna lock in the back of the stone. So if it helps to have the actual stone present, you can pop the stone in there. Sometimes it helps because you can kind of, you know, press against it. But basically we're just putting a bend in one side and then a bend in the other side. And what that's going to do is prevent the stone from popping out the back. All right, so you can get kind of artistic with it, or you can try to make it, you know, more symmetrical, whatever you want. This is just going to be the back of the stone. I'm just going to open these up a little bit. There we go, just like that. So now that we've done that, we can go ahead and do these wires now, because they even moved a little bit as we bent them. So we wanted that. We wanted to move them before we trim them rather than after. So what I'm gonna do, my stone doesn't stay in place because it's not locked from the front. So I'll just remove it. So I'm going to put them side by side like this, and I'm gonna grab them tightly with my pliers, just leaving a little bit of space there. And then I'm gonna bend like this. And then I'm going to push the wires down and bend up again. And then push them down. And what that does is it allows me to bend the wires so they are pressed up against this little wrap, and there's almost no space or gap there. If I just curve them down, there would be a big gap. That's kind of hard to get rid of. So this is my way of trimming them and getting rid of them. So it's almost like they're not even there. You can go over them with your pliers and just, you know, press down on them some more. If there's any tiny gaps left, you can try to kind of get rid of that. But basically they're out of the way. We got rid of them. It's all good. So before locking the stone in, I like to do the bail because it's a little difficult with this one to do the bail after locking the stone in, because there's just the tiniest little gap that we left here for our bail. If you remember, I'll pop my stone back in. See how tiny that gap is? So if I lock in my stone and then I'm trying to get my wires through that tiny gap, I'm gonna struggle rather than if I do the wires first. So I'm bending my bail just by curving it from the front to the back here. I'm putting it through the frame, through this central kind of gap, like this. All right, you can even hold it with your pliers here. And now I'm pushing the wires up through this hole and just up this way, because by pushing them up, I'm kind of locking them in place, preventing them from moving back and forth like this. So one of them, the left one, I'm going to use to attach the bail. So what I'm going to do is bend it from front to back, and then I'm going to trim it and leave myself a little wire end to tuck away. And then the other wire, I'm going to just trim that as short as I can so it's not sticking out like that. And that's why I said you need a gap up here to fit 2 wires, which is the amount of wires that we put there. So I'm just tucking away that little wire end, pressing on that. All right, and now it's going to be a little bit of a tight squeeze with our stone, but because we had that little gap present, it should be fine. It should fit back in now, but there's no more gap though. The gap went away, we filled it with the wires. So now we're going to lock our stone in from the front. So we're going to take our pliers, kind of wedge them in here. Oops, they slipped. We want to bend that first wire, the frontmost wire, bend it like this so it traps the edge of the stone. We're going to do that on the other side as well. All right, I'm just making sure it's straight and symmetrical on both sides. You want the same kind of gap. You want the same angle of bend. So if one is bent a little more than the other, you might have to just adjust it. All right, so now it's time to finish these two wires. So you can leave them completely plain as they are, or you can make them a little bit decorative. So first I'm going to show you what happens if you twist it. So it has to be square wire like mine. You just hold it and then you twist the piece and the wire gets this twisted texture. You can leave it as a loose twist or you can get it to be a little tighter. Just don't overdo it because it can become brittle if you twist it too much. All right, so once you've done that, this is the look that you get. So feel free to do that. If you like the look of it, you could do it to one wire or both wires. And then we're just going to do the little side swoopy thing here that I normally do, just like this. And we are going to bring it right above this little wire here where it's connecting our bail, just like that, from the front to the back, bending it just flat across the back like this. And now we're going to leave it and do this wire next. So you can leave this wire as is, you can twist it, or for another look, you can take the half round wire and you can wrap it around it. And you can also do different gauges of half round wire for different looks. So, but this is just the basic half round wire that's 24 gauge that I used for everything else. That's what I'm going to use here. And I'm just getting it started by wrapping it around. And then once you get it started, because the thing is, it kind of turns. So you have to wrap it enough where it kind of stabilizes it. And then you can press down on that little wire end there and slide this all the way down, all the way like this. All right, so now it's stable enough where when I turn it, it doesn't slide, it kind of stays put. So now I can guide it with this hand and then turn the piece with my other hand, and that's how I'm going to wrap it around. So that's just another way to decorate your wire. And you can actually use round wire as well, not just half round. All right, so I don't know how long I need to do this for because I don't know how long exactly it needs to be to go across. So I'm just going to start testing it now that it's quite long. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bend it across just like this. And now I'm going to have it go right underneath that other wire, and I'm going to have it bend from front to back. All right, and it's actually perfect. Could be maybe even just a little shorter. I do want to have the wrap kind of on the side here because if I end it, it'll look funny where it's wrap, 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 and then it just ends and you have the naked wire there. So I'm just going to tighten it up a little bit. It kind of spaced out when I bend it. I'm going to trim it here, kind of on the inside of the wire, so the wire end will be hidden. I'm going to press down on that wire end in there, and then I'm going to go ahead and bend this wire to be right next to the other wire in the back, just like this. And from the front, here's what it looks like. And it kind of locks the very tip of the stone as well. So the stone is very stable now. It's locked here from the bottom, and then the tip of it at the top is locked in. But the majority of the stone is very clearly visible. Very little of it is covered up. So now here on the back, we need to finish up these wires. Because if we bring them to the front, make swirls with them, attach them, there's nowhere to really tuck them away, right? Because there's no gap to tuck them away into. So you have to make swirls and attach them. And I don't want to cover up my stone, so I'm going to do that on the back. So first I'm going to start by trimming the first wire just a little bit past where my stone ends. That should give me enough space to make, or enough length on the wire to make a swirl. Just a small little swirl that I'm going to make with these round nose pliers. So I'm just grabbing the tip of the wire, giving it a little squish, and turning it to make a little swirl. Just like that. And now this wire, I'm going to follow it along by bending it around the other swirl. And you want this to fit in between these wires. You don't want them to be on top of the wires, because we're going to attach to the wire. You can attach to this wire or to this wire. It looks to me like I'm going to be attaching it to this wire just by the proximity that it has. So after you've bent it around your swirl, you want to trim it, probably just here where the stone ends, or the pendant ends, just here at this edge. That should give me enough length to make another little swirl. So again, just squishing the tip of my wire and then just using the same round nose pliers to make a curl like this. And this curl is a little bit sticking up, so I'm just going to flatten it with my regular pliers so it's nice and flat, and here is what that looks like. So I'm grabbing another piece of that half round wire. This is about 6 inches long. It's nice and long because there's a lot of kind of area to cover here, and because we have to attach both swirls, I want to attach both swirls with one wire. So first I'm going to, with the flat side facing me, tuck it underneath that wire that I'll be attaching it to. All right, just put the very end of it underneath and have a little bit of the wire that you can grab and wrap around a few times. So I'm going to wrap it around 3 or 4 times. Let's see here. 1, 2, let's grab that again, and 3 should be enough. So it actually worked out perfectly. If not, you could trim it a little bit, but I have just a perfect tiny little end where I can kind of curve it in there and tuck it away. And there's my 3 little wraps. Now I'm going to hold it just like this, because if you don't hold it, it can turn, and the wire end that you tucked away can turn to be facing you instead. So I'm holding it while I'm bringing this wire kind of upwards like this. And now I'm sliding it up next to the first curl, lining it up here with that first curl. Now I'm taking the little wire end, and I'm putting it through the first curl and underneath that wire that we wrapped around this wire here. All right, and by doing that, I'm making a little wrap and I'm attaching that first curl. All right, might want to press down on that. Make it nice and flat. So now before we can attach this next curl, we need to get down here. So we're just going to stay with the same wire and we are going to be wrapping it around this wire here just a whole bunch of times until it's enough that we have reached the other curl. So see the little wraps forming there as I wrap. I'm just gonna keep going with it. All right, so that looks like I'm pretty close to that curl there. Actually, maybe a few more wraps. I pushed this together because there was little gaps between my wraps and now it's moved up. And now I'm not next to the curl anymore. All right, so that should be good. Perfect. Right up next to it, so I'm gonna put it through the curl and underneath the wire, just like that. Attaching the curl to the wire, I'm gonna press down on that with my pliers to make it nice and flat. Here's what that looks like. So before you can trim this wire off, you just want to wrap it around a few more times. I would suggest at least 4 times just to have a nice attachment, something that won't unravel. Say this little curl gets caught or something in your hair, it's not going to be able to, or it'll resist getting unraveled because we have several little wraps here holding it in place. So you can definitely feel free to do more than 4. All right, and now we're just gonna bring it down this way, trim, and with this little wire end, we're just gonna tuck it under there. So kind of curve it downwards and then press to tuck it away underneath the wire. So this is complete. These are attached. Our back is all secure now. And we still have this very simple plain look from the front, and the stone is like 99% visible. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, please leave me a like down below and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos, which I post every weekend. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.